Hello everyone, welcome to the new session of Animal Kingdom NCERT exercise. So in this session we are going to solve the NCERT exercise. Okay, so let us start with the first question here. So the first question is, what are the difficulties that you would face in classification of animals, and if common fundamental features are not taken in account, right? So generally what we do, we take some fundamental features to classify the organism, but here they are asking that if you do not take any fundamental features, then how you are going to classify the animals, or what are the difficulties that you are going to face, okay, in classifying the animals. So here the solutions. Animals are classified on the basis of common features such as cell arrangement. So this is the first feature that you took in account. Cell arrangement. Body symmetry, what type of symmetry the body is having, whether it is a bilateral symmetry, whether it is a radial symmetry, right, or asymmetrical sometimes. So nature of coelom, okay, the body is having true coelom or pseudocoelom or acoelomate. Sometimes they are acoelomate also. So these are some of the very basic important features that we do consider, okay, to the classification. So the animals are classified on the basis of some common features such as cell arrangement, body symmetry, nature of coelom, digestive tract. This is also one of the very important. Digestive tract, open or closed. Circulation or the reproductive system. Okay, so we are also considering the circulation, that is the open or closed type. Digestive tract, that is complete or incomplete. If it is having the two opening, then it is called as a complete digestive tract or the digestive system, and if it is only one opening, that is mouth, no anus, then it is called as uh, uh, incomplete digestive tract. Okay, so circulatory or the reproductive system is also there. We do consider this feature. Now without these common features, it is very difficult to treat each organism individually. So you will treat each organism individually and you will write the random characteristics of that particular organism, right? So it is impossible to add new species detected every day without common features. To study diversity in animals, classification must be based on some common basic features. So this is very, very important. Some common basic features, okay, is very, very important. What are some common basic features on which we classify the organism? So these are some of the difficulties that we are going to face if we not follow the common basic features. Tracing of independent amongst the various animals will become difficult. Okay, how you will put up 2 3 organism, okay, and one particular phylum, because the phylum is having some general basic characteristic and you're not following that, right? So it is very, very difficult. Okay, tracing of independence among the various animals will become very difficult, and difficulty in developing a new species of animals, because our classification system do follow, or you can imagine how the organism has been evolved, right? That is, we are following the phylogenetic relationship among the existing phylum also. So that you're not going to get with this if you are not classifying the organism on the basis of some common basic features. Okay, the next question. If you given a specimen, what are the steps that you would follow to classify it? One of the specimen, any specimen you got, and how you are going to classify that particular specimen. So these are the some of the steps that you must follow to classify the specimen, right? So let us see what are those steps that we do follow to classify any given specimen. Classify the level of organization. What level of organization it is? Classify the arrangement of cells in the cellular tissue level of organization. you will see the organism and you see on the basis of the level of organization whether it is having a cellular grade of organization, whether it is having a tissue level grade of organization, or it is having organ level of organization or organ system level of organization. Okay, so all these things you are going to follow in this classify level of organization. In the next, the step that you are going to follow, that is symmetry. You will see the symmetry of that particular organism. Classify the organism according to the radial or bilateral symmetry, where we will see the organism and we can say that this organism is a radial symmetry. If it is having a, it can be divided into number of two halves on the basis of the line of symmetry that is following in between the center of the organism. And if you are getting only one line through which you can divide the organism to two equal halves, then it is showing the bilateral symmetry. So you have to check whether the organism is going for the radial or the bilateral symmetry, right? The next thing that you are going to follow, that classify the diploblastic or triploblastic organism. So you will see whether the organism embryo is having the diploblastic, that is dividing the embryo or arrangement of the layers of the cell in the embryo formation time, that is ectoderm or endoderm. Ectoderm or endoderm. So this is the diploblastic, two layer, that is why it got named diploblastic. Then you will see if it is not having the diploblastic, then are they going for the triploblastic? So in that they are having ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So this is the triploblastic. Okay, now the presence or the absence of body cavity, this is very, very important. Either they are having the cavity or not, this you are going to see that. A true body cavity, then we call it a coelom sometimes, and the coelom body cavity, it is developed from the mesodermal in origin, then it is a true coelom. And if it is not having the true coelom, means the cavity has been developed from some other level of whether it is an ectoderm or endoderm. Okay, then you can say that it is a pseudocoelomate. And sometimes they do not have any body cavity, then you call it as a acoelomate organism. So you have to see whether the presence or absence of the body cavity. Next is the type of coelom development. Okay, in this you will see the presence and absence of body cavity, and here the type of coelom, whether it is a true coelom, pseudocoelom or acoelom. Classify the segmentation, whether they are having the true segmentation or false segmentation. Differentiate the presence or absence of notochord. So if they are not having the notochord, then they are placed in the invertebrates, and when they are presence of the notochord, then you put it in the chordates. Okay, so these are some of the very important you can say the features that you must follow to classify any organism. Suppose you got any organism, so all these features you are going to see in that organism, and according to that you can put them into a particular phylum. Next question: how useful is the study of the nature of body cavity and coelom in the classification of animals? So generally we use body cavity, right, in classifying the organism. So how this body cavity, or we are following the coelom in our classification of animals, how they are going to helpful in the classification? So the solution is here. The coelom is the body cavity or the fluid filled space lined by the mesoderm. Very, very important thing. It is lined by the mesoderm, right? And it is generally filled with the fluid. So that is why it is called as fluid filled space that is lined by the mesoderm. And an animal with coelom is called coelomate. And all those organisms who are having this true coelom means their coelom is lined by the mesoderm and it's filled with the fluid, right? Then it is called as a coelomate, right? And in some animals, the body cavity is not covered by the mesoderm. Instead, the mesoderm is scattered cyst between the ectoderm and the endoderm. Okay, so such body cavity is called as pseudocoelom. That means it is a type of false coelom, right? And the animals that have been them is called as pseudocoelomates, and we call those animals in which this pseudocoelom is found as a pseudocoelomates. And the best example is the Escalmenthes, right? But here, some of the organisms are not having any true body cavity. No body cavity is found. Okay, whether it is a coelomate, that is a true coelom, or it is a pseudocoelomate. Okay, both the type of coelom or the body cavity is not found in the third type. So they are called as acoelomate. They are called as acoelomate. For example, platyhelminthes. So platyhelminthes is the best example that shows that they are not having any type of body cavity. So classification of the body cavity and the coelom is important to decide the complexity of an organism at the organ level. So here you see the first thing that when you classify the organism, you have if you are taking the three different worms phylum. The first one is the platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes, that is the flatworms. Then Escalmenthes, right? And the third one is Annelida. Okay, so this platyhelminthes, they are having acoelom. Acoelom means no body cavity. And this Escalmenthes, they are having pseudocoelom. Pseudocoelom. It means they are not having the true coelom. Their cavity is scattered in the ectoderm and endoderm, right? In between the ectoderm and endoderm. So the third type they are having, that is the coelomate or coelomate. Coelomate, true body cavity, right? So platyhelminthes is quite less advanced than Escalmenthes. Okay, and in the same way, Annelida is more advanced than Escalmenthes and platyhelminthes. So here you can see the complexity of the organism is moving from the platyhelminthes to Annelida, right? Acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, and coelomate. So on the basis of body cavity, here you can see this. So this is very, very important. Next question. Distinguish between intracellular and extracellular digestion. Intracellular, two types of digestions are there. Intracellular and extracellular digestion. So let us see here. Okay, so it is given here in the tabular form, the intracellular digestion. It occurs in the lower organism, lower grade of organism, intracellular organisms. And extracellular occurs in multicellular organism, right? Occurs within the cells. And this occurs within the cavity of the alimentary canal or outside the cell. It is not occurring inside the cell, it is occurring outside the cell, right? In the case of human also, you see they are having this oesophagus, then stomach, then small intestine, right? And major digestion occur where? In the small intestine. Okay, this is the small intestine, and then comes the large intestine. Okay. Okay. So here what happened? The digestive juice are secreted inside the stomach. The food is there, and the digestive digestive juices are secreted outside the stomach wall. Means this is inside the whole, this cavity, that is stomach, and the food is not going inside the cell, whereas the digestive juices, enzymes are secreted in the cavity of the this stomach. So the food is digested here, it is not digested inside the cell, right? That's why it is written outside the cell, right? Occur within the cavity. So this is the cavity of the alimentary canal, right? And it is occurring outside the cell, whereas this occur within the cell. Okay, so it is less efficient with no regional differentiation, right? It is not so efficient, and highly efficient with the regional differentiation, because in the stomach a particular type of food digestion occur. In the small intestine a particular type of food digestion occur. So every part has their own function to do, and in respect of the digestion. Now, enzyme associated are very few enzymes are associated with it. But here the large numbers of digestive glands and enzymes are required for the digestion of the food. So the best example you can imagine in how we have studied the digestive system in our lower classes, right? So extracellular digestion that occurs in higher grade, or you can say the multicellular organism, whereas in the lower organisms, okay, they occur within the cell. So this you can see in the case of, I'm just drawing a rough sketch in the case of porifera, pore bearing organism. So here you can see these are some of the pores, okay, present all over the body surface, right? From these pores water get enter inside this spongiocele cavity. Right? The water get enter inside it, and along with the water some foodstuffs also get enter in this spongiocele cavity. The dissolved oxygen also reaches there. Now the inner lining of this inner lining of the spongiocele, okay, it is having a special type of cell that is called as collar cells, like this, collar cells, okay. Sorry. Now these collar cells do what? They take away the food stuff inside their cells, and there the digestion process occurs. So here you can see the food is taken inside the cell. But here in the case of extracellular digestion, the food is not taken inside the cell, whereas it is the digestion is occurring outside the cell. Very, very important. Okay, what is the difference between the direct and indirect development? Next question is the difference between the direct and indirect type of development. So let us see here what is the difference between these two. Okay. Direct development occurs in fish, reptile, birds, and mammals. It means that the embryo give rise to a new individual that looks somewhat to the adult one, right? In the case of birds, in the case of mammals, reptiles, fishes, okay. Now, what about the indirect development? Occurs in the vertebrates, for example, amphibians, right? In the case of amphibians, suppose we have seen these are the eggs of the frog, okay, eggs of the frog, and from these eggs what comes out? Tadpoles. These are the tadpoles. Now tadpoles are very different from the adult frog, okay. It is different from the adult frog because the adult frog is do not have any tail, no tail, where you can see this tadpole is having tail. And this tadpole is also having the gills, but no gills are found in the adult form of this frog or the amphibians. Here I am taking the examples of frog. That is an amphibian, right? So in the case of frog, what you get? Respiratory organ, lungs. So there must be some change from that gills develops to lungs. And here you can see the structure, the morphological structure of the tadpole and frog differs so much. Right? So this tadpole is showing the larval stage. Okay. So it involves a sexually immature larval stage. So there is one stage in their life cycle that is called as immature larval stage. In direct development, the embryo develops into well-grown individual without involving any larval stage. No such stage is seen in the case of direct development. Okay. So the new child which is born in the case of direct development, it resembles everything like the adult. Only the size is small, the development of the body is small, but it doesn't happen like that. It is not having any when the child is born, it is having the tail, and when it is changing to adult, the tail is it goes vanish. It doesn't happen like this. Not even any internal organ which is there, that doesn't disappear and develops a new one, as you can see in the case of indirect development. So this is a major difference. Metamorphosis is absent. And here the metamorphosis is present. Here you can see some of the organs is developed or replaced by some other organ. So this is showing the metamorphosis. The tail is removed, the gills is vanished, and here you can see the development of full-fledged lungs when the organism changes to the adult form. And this tadpole is more adaptable to live in the aquatic environment, water. But this frog can live in both the type of environment, on the land also and on the water also. Now, the direct development, if you see that, they are having two examples, hydra and earthworm. So both are showing the direct development, right? The individual is not having any larval stages. Where in the case of frog and butterfly, and even in the cockroach nymph, their larval stages is called as nymph. In the case of frog, it is called as tadpoles. Butterfly, caterpillar, pupa, these are some of the stages that you see in the case of butterfly life cycle. So those are the indirect development. Next question comes here. What are the peculiar features that you find parasitic platyhelminthes? Okay. So some of the features that we see in the case of platyhelminthes, that says that these are some of the parasitic features. Okay. So let us see. This is also going to be a very important question. The typical feature of the parasitic platyhelminthes are free living parasitic form. Okay. It lives as a parasite. It lives inside the body of the organism. So it is taking all the nourishment, all the food from the organism itself. They have an organ level of organization. Okay. So they are quite advanced from the Porifera, Cnidaria and Ctenophora, because they are having the tissue level grade of organization. And even in the case of this Porifera, they are having the cellular grade of organization, though they are multicellular, but the tissue is not yet formed. Right? But here you can see they are having the different organs, flame cells. Okay? They are having a particular different types of cells unite together to form a particular organ. Reproductive organ, separate reproductive organs are there. Right? So they are showing the organ level of organization. Mostly hermaphrodite. It means both the male and female reproductive organs are present in the one organism itself. So they are hermaphrodite. Three layered of body walls. Epidermis, that is making the outer covering, and is often ciliate and covered with the cuticle. The other two body wall is endodermis and mesodermis. So epidermis, endodermis, and in between the ecto and endo, there is a mesodermis. Now, the digestive tract is incomplete or absent. Very, very important. They are having the mouth and also the suckers through which they suck the nutrients from the body of the organism in which they are living as a parasite. So they are taking full nutrient from the host body, right? And the other important thing, incomplete. Why it is called incomplete? Because they are having just one opening, no anus. No anus is there, right? So they are taking the complete digested food from the tract in which they are living, okay? And they are, so that you do not need any undigested waste is not going to be there in the body because they are already taking the whole digested food material, okay? So no waste is there in the body. So they do not require any anus. So that is why their digestive tract is incomplete or absent. This is one of the key features of a parasitic organism, and the parasitic platyhelminthes especially. No anus is there. The other features are the presence of well-defined excretory structures such as flame cells. Okay, so they are having the flame cells that work as an excretory structures. This is also a very, very important feature. Presence of antitoxin and a thick tegument which is resistant to the digestive enzyme of the host. So they are living in the digestive tract only. So there are so many enzymes that is released in the digestive tract. So that enzyme could be very, very harmful for the organism. But what happened? Their integument is very, very thick. Okay, it is having a thick wall, thick integument, and that protects to get digested from the digestive enzyme that is secreted by the inner tract of the organism, right? So they are having some antitoxin. They are also releasing some antitoxin and a thick tegument which is resistant to the digestive enzymes of the host. Anaerobic respiration, very, very important. Now, where they are living? They are living inside the digestive tract. So there no oxygen reaches. No oxygen reaches there. So they do follow the anaerobic respiration. They follow the anaerobic respiration. No special respiratory structure was observed. Okay, they are not having any special respiratory structure through which they can respire. So they are anaerobic. They are following the anaerobic respiration. The front body parts has suckers. Okay, the front body parts, that is the posterior end, they are having the suckers and hooks also. Now this hook is very important. Through the help of these hooks, they get attached to the tissue or the wall of the intestine or wherever they are present. And when they are get attached with the help of hook, they get a placement, and there the suckers can suck the food material. Now the eye spots and the auricles to attract to the host. So these are some of the organs that are present in the posterior end, or you can say the front body parts. Highly developed reproductive system of the parasitic forms, but their reproductive system is full-fledged developed. They are a parasitic form, but still they are having the full developed reproductive forms. So these are some of the important characteristics that the pseudocoelomates, this platyhelminthes are having, and they are showing that those characteristics are showing that they are the parasitic form, right? Moving to our next question, what are the reasons that you can think of for the arthropods to constitute the largest group of animals kingdom? Hmm? Why we can think that the arthropods to constitute the largest group of animal kingdom? So let us see the answer of this question. The following are the causes for the arthropods making up the largest group of animal kingdom. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics that shows that the arthropods are the largest group of animal. What are they? They have jointed legs. Okay, if you see the legs of arthropods, then you can see they are having the like this, the jointed legs. Okay, so these are, this can get detached from this part, so they are joint. Again, this is joint, so jointed legs and allow them to be motile, but they are helpful in walking and perform many other functions due to these jointed appendages, right? A hardened skeleton made up of chitin protects their body. So their body is made up of a carbohydrate that is called as chitin. Okay. Now, generally, this chitin, where you have seen this is present in the case of fungi, their cell wall is made up of chitin. Now, this chitin is making the exoskeleton. Okay, exoskeleton of the arthropods. So they are having the hardened skeleton made up of chitin. This you have to remember. Now, the hard skeleton reduce water loss from the body. Okay, so their body is having this hard skeleton, and that can reduce the water loss from the body. This can reduce the water loss from the body. So these are some of the characteristic that makes them the organism that is the largest type. Now, the following are the causes of the arthropod making up the largest. So some other are, apart from those three, demonstrate a different system for the locomotion, respiration, and reproduction. They are having different system for this, and this is very, very unique for this particular phylum only. If you see the respiratory system, they are having, their body is having the small opening all over the body surface, and that is called as spiracles. And inside the spiracles, they are having the tube-like structure like this. Tube-like structure, right? And that is called as, these are the tube-like structure. Okay, and these are the spiracles through which the air get enter inside this and tube-like structure. Okay, so they are having the ability to live in the diverse condition and the varied habitats. Okay, now these organisms can live in different types of condition. Okay, in different habitats. Some are aquatic even. Some can live on the land. Some can live in the very hot type of climates. Okay, warm, humid climate. So they are having the ability to live in the different types of conditions, and that is why they are present everywhere. In every condition they can live, right? So their living habitat is so much varied, and in comparison to other phyla, they are pre-developed, well-developed sense organ and nervous system. They helps, this particular things helps them to live in the different environmental condition, because they can sense the different types of habitat. They can sense with their sense organ their prey, their food material, their enemies. Okay, Their nervous system is also well developed. Some insects exhibit pheromones that enables the communication with the help of some secretion of the hormones that is also called as the pheromones. Okay, so that helps them to enables the communications in their insects, a group of insects. Okay, how they communicate with the help of these pheromones. Okay, here comes the next question. Water vascular system is the characteristic of which group of the following? Okay, MCQs. So, in which of the following phylum we find a water vascular system? Porifera, Ctenophora, Echinodermata, Chordata. So, if we see the porifera is living inside the either fresh water or marine water, and they are having the body cavity like this. They are having the spongiocele cavity. Okay, but that is not the water vascular system. Ctenophora, they are the like ball-like. The ball can be divided into 8 equal halves like this, and they are having the comb-like this features. Okay, this is the Ctenophora. And Echinodermata, if you see, the starfish. Then in their arms, you can see a tube-like structure that is running from the center to each arm, right? And below it, they are having a balloon-like structure. Now, the water enter inside this cavity and it get filled. So, the starfish become like this. Okay? And when the water comes out of this, like openings, okay, the starfish goes down this. So, in this way, it helps in the locomotion. So, this is actually the water vascular system which is found in the Echinodermata. Chordata, generally the chordata, they start moving from the water to the land from here. Okay, so the chordata is not having any such type of water vascular system, though some hemichordata, they live inside the marine environment, but they are not having any water vascular system. This is a very unique feature of the Echinodermata, for example starfish. Okay, from the 4 given options, correct the answer is C, Echinodermata. So this is the solution, and this is their characteristic. A perforated panel in them known as madreporite allows water to percolate in their system. So this is making the water vascular system actually. Here comes the next question. What does the next question says? All vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrate. Justify the statement. Very, very important question. All vertebrates are chordate. It means that chordate is having some special features. Okay? But all chordates are not vertebrates. So let us see the solution of this. Now, the chordates are the diverse phylum characterized by having at some stages in their life cycle the following features. So, chordates are having these features in their life cycle. Okay, the first very important thing is the notochord, a flexible rod-shaped body found along the dorsal side of the animal that provide the skeletal support. Right, so this is the notochord. They are having a rod-shaped body, found along the dorsal side. So if this is any organism, then the notochord is present like this. Dorsal surface. Okay, it is a flexible rod-shaped body found along the dorsal side of the animal that provide the skeletal support. It is providing the skeletal support. Dorsal hollow nerve cord, a nerve cord running along back of the animal which develops into the brain and spinal cord in the vertebrate. So here it is having a this dorsal hollow nerve cord. So this is the nerve cord. Pharyngeal slits. So here you can see the pharyngeal slits, opening in the pharynx that may develop into gills or other structures. So sometimes they develop the gills like a structure. So these pharyngeal gill slits are there. Post anal tail. So this is the tail region. Okay. Now a tail is extending. So suppose this is the anal region. This is the anal region. Now after that, the tail will develop. Okay, that goes to extend there. So a tail extending beyond the anus at some stage of the development. So these are some of the features of the chordates. Now, let us see about what is written about the vertebrate. Why we cannot say that all vertebrates are chordate, but all chordates are not vertebrates. So, vertebrates are the subgroup within the chordates and are distinguished by having the vertebral column or spine made up of the vertebrate that encloses and protect the dorsal nerve cord. So they are having the vertebral column. In the last slide, we have discussed about the presence of notochord and spinal cord, but not this vertebral column. So if they are having the vertebral column, then we are talking about the vertebrates. And vertebrate is a group of organism that is present inside the chordates, right? So these are made up of the vertebrae that encloses and protect the dorsal nerve cord. Now this group includes fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Vertebrates also possesses other complex structures such as endoskeleton for the structural support and protection, and highly developed brain and the nervous system, and various organs for the specialized functions. So these features are not present in all the chordates, but it is present in vertebrates, which is a part of chordate. This vertebrate belongs to chordate, but there is hemichordate, right? So these hemichordates are not having this vertebral column. So this is the difference. And that is why we can say that all vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. Now here comes the justification. All vertebrates are chordates. This is because all vertebrates exhibit the key characteristic features of chordates at some stages in their development. Notochord, dorsal hollow nerve cord, pharyngeal slits, post-anal tail. These are some of the features that we see in the case of chordates, right? And the presence of a backbone vertebral column makes them a specific subset within the chordate. These features are present in the larval stages of the vertebrate. But the presence of vertebral column is not seen in all the chordates, right? So this makes it quite different from the other chordates, and that is why they are kept in a different group that is called as vertebrates. So thus fulfilling the criteria to be considered as chordate, but still we can say them they are the chordates. These presence of notochord, dorsal hollow nerve cord, pharyngeal gill slit, post-anal tail, these features are present in the embryonal stages. They are developmental stages. So they are still considered as a chordates. But their advanced features, that is the presence of backbone, okay, that is not found in all types of chordates. So we are keeping these organisms in a different group that is called as vertebrates. So not all chordates are vertebrates. There are groups within the chordata phylum that do not develop the vertebral column. They are not developing this vertebral column. So how we can say that all vertebrates or chordates are vertebrates, right? So cephalochordates, lancelets, possesses all the chordate features throughout their life cycle, but they are not having the true backbone, that is the vertebral column. Urochordates, tunicates, have the chordate features during their larval stages, which are mostly lost as they mature into their adult. So tunicate do not develop a backbone at any stages of their life cycle. So that is why these cephalochordates and urochordates are chordates, but they are not vertebrates, right? So this is the conclusion of this question. The classification reflect evolutionary relationship and the complexity of the development within these groups, right? We can see this development within the group in these such groups, cephalochordate, urochordate, right? So vertebrates represent more derived and specialized group within the chordates, okay? And having evolved additional structures and system for the support, protection and function. So they are quite advanced, okay, from the other group of the chordates, these vertebrates. So however, the presence of a fundamental chordate characteristic in all vertebrates underscore their inclusions in the broader phylum Chordata, even as not all members of the phylum advance to be vertebrate. Okay, all organisms are not so advanced as the vertebrates. So that is why we are having such divisions of the group in the chordates. So this evolutionary framework explains why all vertebrates are indeed chordates, but in the converse, that all chordates are vertebrate is not true. So acknowledging the diversity and evolutionary depth of the phylum Chordata. So this division also explains the evolutionary relationship among the different groups of the phylum Chordata, right? Okay. So here comes the next question. How important is the presence of air bladder in the species? Okay, so species are having the air bladder. Why? And how this presence of the air bladder is helping the species. The presence of an air bladder is also known as swim bladder, is highly significant in many fishes species. Okay, this is very, very significant and important for this group species. So offering them several critical advantages that contribute to their survival, buoyancy control, and energy efficiency in the aquatic environment, because they are living in the totally aquatic environment. They cannot live in the air, right? So they need a buoyancy control because they have to live in the water, right? So buoyancy means that always uplift the this fishes to the upper surface, and it helps their survival. And also energy efficiency, that increases the energy efficiency, because if they are going to sink, so every time they have to swim and expand their energy. But if they are having this buoyancy control, right, this air bladder help them to be at upper surface without consumption of any energy. So this swim bladder is a gas-filled organ that helps fish maintain the natural buoyancy, allowing them to remain at a constant depth without expending energy on swimming. Because in the swimming, they have to expend the energy, right? So here are some key points highlighting the importance of the air bladder in fish. Let us see what are those key points. Neutral buoyancy. The swim bladder allow fish to adjust their buoyancy through the regulations of gas, mainly oxygen volume within the bladder, and helping them to float in the water column without sinking or rising. This ability enables fish to save energy because they do not have to constantly swim and contract, sinking or floating. Next is the energy efficiency. By maintaining the neutral buoyancy, fish can spend less energy on swimming and more on feeding. So mating and escaping predators. So in these type of phenomena like feeding, mating, and escaping from the predators, this buoyancy helps them, and this efficiency is crucial for the survival of the reproductive success. Other these features are the swim bladder permit fish to adjust their vertical positions in the water column with the minimal effort. That is the depth adjustment. They are adapting the depth according to which they want to live. So the changing of the gas volume in the swim bladder, fish can rise or sink to the different depth, which is essential for accessing the food sources, avoiding predators, or sinking preferred environmental conditions such as temperature and oxygen level. Hydrostatic function. This is another key feature. The swim bladder act as a hydrostatic organ, enabling fish to stabilize their depth without the need to swim actively. This functionality is particularly important in fluctuating water conditions or when fish need to remain motionless or ambush prey or hide from the predators. So it is also helping and capturing of the food material or when they want to hide themselves from the predators. So this swim bladder is very, very important for the species. Resonance and sound production. In some species, the swim bladder can function in sound production and enhancement. It can resonate and amplify the sounds, serving as a communication tool during the mating rituals or as a defense mechanism. It also helps them in hearing. Swim bladder is connected in the inner ear of some fishes and enhancing their ability to detect the sound waves and vibrations in the water. So this sensitivity can be crucial for navigation, finding food, and avoiding the predators. Adaptation to the different environment. So swim bladder represent an evolutionary adaptations that has allowed fish to exploit a variety of aquatic environment from deep oceans to the shallow streams. You can see that there are different types of fishes. That some fish are the bottom feeders, whereas some can live in the shallow water streams. So this ability to regulate the buoyancy and remain suspended at the various depths enable fish to inhabit diverse ecological niche. So not all fish have a swim bladder. Species without it have other adaptation for the buoyancy control such as adjusted body density, lipid reserves, and active swimming. However, for those that do possesses this organ, the swim bladder is critical evolutionary feature that enhances their survival, efficiency, and ecological versatility within the aquatic realm. So those fishes that are having this swim bladder, they are more advanced, and this is also showing the critical evolutionary features that helps them in the survival, their efficiency, and also the versatility that they can live in the different realm of the aquatic environment, right? So here comes the next question. What are the modifications that are observed in birds that helps them fly? So let us see what are the modification that we see in the case of birds. The variation found in the bird that help them fly are given as follows. The presence of feathers. So feathers we see in the case of birds, right? So that helps them to fly. Forelimbs are turned into wings to help with flight. So for the flight, their four wings are now turned, or you can say adapted to this wings, change into wings, and that helps them in flight. Hind limbs have scales. If you see the hind limbs, that is the legs of the birds, they are having the covered with these scales, and they have pneumatic or the hollow bones that lighten the skeleton. If you see the bones of the birds from inside, they are hollow, and that is filled with the air. So that makes their body very light, and they can fly in the air because their body is quite light, right? So those hollow bones are called as pneumatic bones or hollow bones. Absence of urinary bladder causes net body weight loss and facilitate them to fly, right? So they are not having any urinary bladder. Okay, they can discharge urine as they are formed in the body. They do not store it in the urinary bladder, because if they are having the urinary bladder, again their body will become heavy. Okay, so in the absence of urinary bladder, what happened? Their net body weight is lost, and that helps them to fly. They streamlined body provide less resistance and enable longer flight. So you must have seen the fishes. They are also having the streamlined body because they can cut the water current. In the same way, birds, they are also having the streamlined body, right? Streamlined body, and that is also helping them to cut the air current and minimum resistance. They're facing the minimum resistance because of this streamlined body. So it helps them to fly. Next question. Could the number of eggs or young ones produced by the oviparous and viviparous mother be equal? Why? No, the number of eggs or young ones produced by an oviparous and viviparous mothers are not equal. They are not equal, and the number of eggs produced by the oviparous mother is more comparatively because in oviparous animal fertilization takes place outside the uterus. The fertilization is taking place outside the uterus, whereas the in viviparous animal development take place inside the uterus, which makes sufficient incubation of the young animal less, right? And in the organism in which the fertilization is taking place inside the female genital tract or the body, then they are quite protected. Okay, so the eggs which are laid outside, they are not so well protected. Okay, because there are so many predators, they comes and they consume that food as those eggs as a food, right? So the when eggs are present outside, they are in a high risk of getting eaten by the predators due to their immobility. Therefore, in order to sustain the progeny, there is a requirement of more eggs. That is why viviparous, okay, they give more eggs. Viviparous gives less eggs as compared to the oviparous. Segmentation in the body is first observed in which of the following? So, segmentation in which of the following we see? Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, and Arthropoda. Platyhelminthes. Okay, let us see here. From the four given, the correct answer is Annelida. Annelida such as earthworm, leeches, and polychaetes are characterized by their segmented body structure, where the body is divided into repeated segments or rings. And this feature represents a significant evolutionary advancement, allowing for the greater flexibility and complexity in the movement of the organ differentiation. Till then, thank you very much.